Kiểm hóa ở cộng B cộng C.
Nữa 27 người theo dõi luôn.
Dạ thì
À.
kêu bản thân em đừng có làm thì như đâu làm. Kêu nếu mai không bây giờ không có 2 kia em sẽ cố gắng làm. Dạ là ngày mai chạy cũng chỗ bóng 2 nè. Là anh gửi cái bút vô cho hải quan rồi sao? Rồi tao quay nhật ghi sổ ra cho con thử. Mình cái tí. Nghe anh ơi. Hello. Là cái hội đồng phải công cái đó thì mình gặp cái đó. Là ngày mai em vô chỗ anh chợ mail hải quan vô cái bút ra rồi thì em không làm. Nhiều hóa thì quá. Phúc Long. Ông mà kêu mày đó là một.
Đưa mượn cái điện thoại đi. Hay chị hả? Coi nó phát trực tiếp rồi có nhận được. Thầy bà khuyên nam thầy
Em này có phủ nhật gì đó, tụi anh phủ gì đó.
của anh Pháp.
Nó trong cái của mail mày có gửi tiếng Anh được gì không?
Có nhé.
Rồi cho anh nha.
Hả?
Gửi danh cái.
không nó gỡ không được.
Hả?
Không gỡ được.
Rồi thôi.
Mail nó không gỡ đi.
Thì em gửi cái link drive Google Drive cho anh đi.
Không được, cái nếu mà có tài khoản đăng nhập mới được.
Thì gửi về mail em hả?
Không gửi Gmail, gửi tức là có kho data của hắn, mình được hắn thêm vô cái nhóm của hắn nhưng mới xem được, còn không là yêu cầu việc truy cập đâu được.
Là sao? Thì
Tức là cái đó là phải đăng ký rồi hắn thêm vô cái nhóm của hắn mới được.
thấy thì quay màn hình lại. Nói chung là có tiền quăng vô là được rồi. Không có không? Mà biết cái sao thì mà biết cái sao thì
Jace, another power pick on the current patch.
Well, especially when they have Nidalee, they can very easily set up for a poke composition. So it's most likely the Tahm Kench in the bottom lane with the Lucian. This Jace can go in the mid lane or the top lane, depending on who they want more practice on with it. So those are generally good for ANX as they're lining up for this. Maybe even Rumble in the top lane for Smurf could make a pretty solid composition, depending on what Darshan's going to be picking against him.
I also like the Tahm Kench quite a bit into the Syndra and the Bard. You can eat up your teammates when they get stunned out. It's a lot of protection against that Syndra, who is normally going to be able to one-combo people if they get ahead. So I think it's a pretty intelligent pick here. And, you know, as you said, Rumble available in the top lane. That has been very big so far in Worlds.
We'll have to track how quickly Lecrit moves around the map to actually make use of that ability and what sort of impact he can have with that Abyssal Voyage. has the possibility of being very game-changing. So this could be Jace into Syndra or Jace into Darshan champion. Most likely going to be this Poppy.
And they've played Poppy into Jace before. They're not afraid of the matchup, even though it is an unfavorable one. Because I think in this case, COG is very much picking towards their composition and their team play.
Yeah.
They love the fact that Darshan is a playmaker on it, and they don't really care what he's going to be laning against in this situation.
In the previous game, he was willing to really sacrifice his lane. He didn't have high damage, but he had high impact because it's about the teleports, it's about the flanking and the playmaking ability that Poppy provides.
Yeah, and if you think back to that G2 game, it was that teleport down into the bottom lane where Strem was freezing it. It was a good call. It was team play for CLG that came out on top. Albus knocks Luna. Backs against the wall now. Last rotation. Top lane or mid lane? That is what they're discussing. What is left in the champion pool for either role, knowing that obviously Darshan can play against this Poppy and has proven he can beat it?
I think the Rumble is possible for the lane if they want to. Trundle, as they actually lock in, is now going to be going top lane, so they're throwing the Jace down in the mid lane. Trundle wins the stat stick matchup against Poppy for most of the late game, but once again in the early and mid game, the Poppy can have more map impact, so that's what they're being willing to trade into. And it also rounds out their poke composition if you're on ANX right now, because it's the crucial disengage that they need if they want to sit outside of a turret and poke.
I would also say one of the great things about Trundle with these poke compositions is it actually makes your skill shots very easy to hit. You drop a pillar down, it provides a massive slow that kind of lines people up for the Nidalee, for the Jace to land that poke, and hopefully push CLG off of these turrets.
A lot of pressure in the hands of Smurf. He's got a pretty good track record on this Trundle. Domestically, 5-1 throughout the summer, excluding the playoffs. And as the team comps on your screen, it feels like another one of those games where if a team gets ahead, the team composition could potentially run away with the game, you know, falling prey to the poke or falling prey to the engages on CLG side.
And I do also think that at the World Championship, we tend to get in this mode of thinking, oh my goodness, the meta is super snowbally right now. When in actuality what's happening is the teams are really mismatched, so you're getting snowballed games. But I do agree with you in this composition in particular. If a poke composition falls behind, it's really not very effective. So that's where Albus Nox Luna is going to have to be very careful in the early game to not let that happen.
Well, they had a very kill-heavy early game. Yeah, on day one of Worlds, this is Albus Nox Luna. They need to farm as well as pick up those kills. If you think they can pick it up, hashtag ANX win. Or if you think North America is going to pick up another win, hashtag CLG win. We're loading up onto the Rift. It's North America taking on the CIS. And let's find out who comes out victorious in this Group A matchup.
And I'm really looking forward to seeing our first Nidalee here at Worlds, because I know that throughout the end of the regular season, it had actually fallen down in some priority for people in favor of Gragas and Rek'Sai. Those two champions have been nerfed fairly heavily, so the punishment for Nidalee is a little bit down. And I think the main reason it's been banned so much is its incredible speed while farming and how that can lead to map pressure. So Steos will need to be able to significantly outpace Smithy if he wants this pick to have value.
Yeah, and Smithy, it's going to be much more about that ganking pressure that Elise does provide. That's why we see so many players even willing to go for the Moby boots early on, just to be able to get in the right position, get these ganks going. And I think Kira especially is going to have to play very, very careful with the fact that Afro can roam up on the Bard. You have that Syndra for the CC, and the Elisa is a great ganker on mid lane.
A little bit of trading early on. Feels like they're contesting for some early vision. Smithy and Steos going down. He's just going to walk away. No real commit here because there's not a lot of CC to work with.
COG is also very willing to bluff early game, the way they're kind of taking a bunch of poke right here. The bottom lanes haven't been spotted out for either team, so both of these teams are actually kind of faking like they have a 5-person invade. And in actuality, what's happening since Suhi's gone to lane is Smithy's getting pushed out of his jungle early.
Yeah, a lot of poke going down. Smithy below half health. Steos and Smurf can at least start off the Sentinel and then start to back away, but it feels like the
really
contest is still going on.
Yeah, this is actually pretty rough for CLG. They're getting bullied around quite a bit, but Smithy did get both the little golems.
Yeah, from an experience perspective, CLG is winning this one.
Yeah.
If ANX ends up falling back here, they're going to actually set themselves in a big deficit.
100 hit point, flash forward, flash out. The shock blast doesn't connect. Both mid laners use their summoners. Only a cleanse for Kira.
This is a little bit strange. Steo's still wanting to get this, but Smithy actually has a bit of damage here. He could force him out. All he has is W, so it's not like he can bite him afterwards. He wins the trade. It's not like Steos has a heal.
It's one of the craziest level 1s I think I've ever seen. It's just 2.5 minutes in. Both junglers are level 1. We have a level 1 mid laner, 2 level 1 top laners.
And the thing we have to track here is actually how COG won this by a lot. Who he ended up having to go through his potions, but that doesn't matter that much because he didn't forego as much experience as Kira did when leaving the lane. And Xmithy's going to be able to get the blue buff. Steos is now going to be starting his jungle a minute and a half late because he didn't get any experience when harassing the blue buff, and now he's gone back. Because of the gold over time, he bought a
And actually, when you think about it, that's supposed to be the strength of Nidalee, is outpacing the Elise. He's really given up one of the big strengths of this champion. He's going to be massively behind the Nidalee.
We'll find out what he can do with this deficit. Luckily, can close the gap, but now he's playing to go even. Actually going very low.
Yeah. He didn't get any experience. Steos is now going to be starting his minute. Steos is now going to be starting. Steos is now going to be... Who normally, if you're pacing, if you just would have been patient, stuck to his own jungle, you were level 3 with double buffs at that time.
Yeah, certainly. But this is obviously they're trying to take a risk, right?
Goes into a penguin and flies his way out of there.
Cheeky little play there by Afromu, and does try to take away the Grom. Not going to be able to do it, but Smithy, while Afro's buying time, is going for the red buff.
Let's see if Stayhouse is sensing it. It doesn't actually look like it. Essentially, both Xmithy and Afro were spotted by the Wolf Spirit on that side of the jungle. Stayhouse is expecting, now he knows it's been stolen. He hit a Spiderling on the way out. Smithy gets 3 buffs.
So a good start by Xmithy to, I think, react to the aggressive play from Albus Nox Luna, taking stock of the CS, even across the board with the exception of that mid lane. Kira being shoved in, I think not too surprising at the early levels against the Syndra.
You were level 3
all that
with
additional
double
time
buffs
Kira spent running in the river.
Yeah, certainly. But this is
a very crazy level 1. Going to put him behind a little bit of CS.
We also need to be able to track Darktronic Smurf because Smurf is kind of beginning to reach that point on Trundle. If there's been no early game teleports for anything, the Trundle actually is pretty legit against the Poppy, so as far as this lane is concerned, it's going quite well for Albus Nox.
It's got to go very well for Albus Nox, I feel, because Smurf, I think, should be able to play silent a little better, but obviously Darshan's TP impact is way more powerful.
This composition in particular, if a good composition falls behind, it's really not very effective. So that's where Albus Nox is going to have to be very careful in the early game.
Build an advantage
Well, they had a very kill-heavy early game. Yeah, on day 1 of Worlds, this is Albus Nox Luna. They need to farm as well as pick up those kills. If you think they can pick it up, hashtag A.
Willing to bluff the early game the way they're
farmed away out.
Normally, if you're patient, if you just would have been patient, stuck through his own jungle, you were level 3 with double buffs at that time.
Yeah, Smithy, but this is Bobby there early. Just get some autos with the red onto that mid lane turret. They know they're going to try to be pushing this in, and they want to work on this turret early to try to set it up later for getting that first tower blood gold.
Yeah, Huhi is one of the mid laners who loves to roam and also gets some of the most help from his jungler lately. But you can take over the map as seen with Cinder if you're able to get the first turret down early, and then you can start roaming. Nice spear there by Steos though.
Stun onto Steos as Huhi makes his way out. Unleash Power is available. Cinder, Ghost, and Flash. Ghost is Flash Cleanse. Cleanse was used by Kira earlier. I didn't quite see exactly where. It's important to note that that is down. If Xmithy can find an opportunity into the lane rather. And there we go, catch a little glimpse. A miracle in the crypt. They've shoved this wave quite heavily towards Afro and Stixo.
Yeah, I don't think things are going disastrously for Albus Nox. Their initial invade didn't work that well, but Nidalee can still catch up. The kit itself on Nidalee is insane. Yeah, I don't think things are going disastrously. He just commits to it. He'll get an experience advantage. Their initial invade didn't work that well, but Nidalee can still catch up. The kit itself on Nidalee is insane. I don't think things are going disastrously. He just commits to it. He'll get an experience advantage. The initial invade didn't work that well, but Nidalee's invades aren't down. Still catch up. The kit itself on Nidalee is insane.
Unlocks him the bottom.
himself that tracker's knife. And Smithy leaving base similar. And tone to beat. Seen a couple of very early pink wards on the side of Albus Nox. See if they can get some value out of it. Fairly defensive near the river, just there behind that red dot.
And I think it's pretty intelligent. A lot of this is just trying to keep Smurf safe in that isolated 1v1. Do not allow Smithy to get behind him, sneak around, which is exactly what Smithy's kind of looking to do here right now.
So far, I think the ward coverage and the smite plays by Steos have been pretty good, and maybe they can actually get a collapse here, although Kier's got to be careful about getting comboed.